Hello, my name is Sam, my pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to my office. So, today we are going to go over the biggest portion of my office makeover that I have done to date. So I've been where I am for 2 years now, and I do have my own personal office, which I love with my entire heart because my partner does not want to have to look at all of this all day, every day. All of this happened last year. I redid my shelves because I decided that I wanted something a little bit different. I have the Ikea Billy bookshelves, and I decided that they were boring. I've had them for, God, I must be going on at least like 7 years now. So they're not new additions in terms of furniture, like at all. They're just what I have had since I was a teenager. And I decided that I wanted something a little bit new, a little bit fun, but I'm not ready to create my forever bookshelves yet. So I altered all 4 of my 6-foot Ikea Billy bookshelves. So this is kind of going to be a breakdown of how I did so. I ended up altering the backing because I did not like the, I believe it's like MDF or whatever, like flimsy backing on my shelves. And then the white shelves that I had, I ended up painting them. So I can kind of walk you through my process of deciding on the back and then how I successfully have painted Ikea Billy bookshelves in a way that after a year, no paint is chipping on my books at all. So let's kind of get into this a little bit. So I ended up throwing together the backings in not the most ideal way. So I originally wanted to do 1x6s in the back, and when I got to Lowe's or wherever I went, I ended up getting slatted wood, or like the wood that you can just kind of slot together, which was a poor choice on my part. Do not make that choice. I have been doing construction and carpentry stuff since I was like 12 years old with my grandfather, and he definitely has taught me the lesson of the things are going to get messed up and you're just kind of going to rock with it, and you take the lesson for your next project. So I don't feel particularly bad about the mistakes that I made in this, but I can tell you the mistakes that I made so you don't have to make them. This project in total, for doing 4 6-foot shelves with full solid wood backing and paint, prime, and sealing 2 of those 6-foot shelves, cost me less than $200, which for shelves that I've had for so long, for shelves that I know that I'm going to be keeping for quite a while, I'm not replacing these shelves in the next 5 years. So I thought that that was a completely worthy investment, and the most money was for the wood. So if you have cheaper access to wood, if you've already got some backup wood, or if you are only doing a shelf in comparison to 4, this will ultimately be a much less expensive project, but it will make your shelves look much more expensive and beautiful. So, don't buy slotted wood because I did not account for the extra inches that you miss when you slot the wood together. So I ended up having to make some pretty janky cuts to slot the wood in the correct way. And after that, all I really did was just cut the wood and I screwed it into the shelves. Totally secure. Honestly, it has made my shelves themselves feel so much sturdier. They're so much heavier now, but they are incredibly sturdy. So I did not do any sealant or sanding or staining on the back of my shelves, but that is a personal preference entirely. I'm not seeing any problems coming up from not sealing my wood, and it smells really good. You still get a woody smell in the room, and that's really all it takes to add the backing. I think that it makes such a massive change to the shelves themselves. Like, it's a small detail because the shelves obviously are very full, but you can see, like, at the very tops of the books, like, you just see this beautiful wood backing, and I think that it makes such a stark difference, especially with the darker shelves. So totally worth it. I love every second of it. They provide stability to my shelves, they provide beauty, they provide a good smell. It was a fairly easy project in terms of actually constructing it. Super easy. If you wanted to do it, honestly, you could have your wood cut at Lowe's and just bring it home, screw it on, pop your shelf back up, you're done. Good to go. Now, what took so long was painting these shelves. So I only painted 2 of my shelves because I had 2 black and 2 white, and I didn't want the white shelves anymore. And if you did not know, you cannot just paint IKEA furniture because IKEA furniture is made out of particle board, and if you just paint it, the paint will just peel off in massive strips. It will not adhere to the furniture at all. So it's quite unfortunate, but I figured out a process that worked perfectly. I recently just reorganized all my shelves, and I had like giant stacks of children's books, like my mom's original Dr. Seuss books. They were all just stacked on top of each other, laying flat, and when I brought them all up, no paint came off. Like, there is no paint that came off of these shelves whatsoever that wasn't from, like, me scratching it pretty intensely, which is my own fault. But all of my books are still in perfect condition. So what you have to do is going to take you so long, like 4+ days, honestly. Probably closer to a week. Mine took, I think, like 2 weeks. Like, my kitchen was a construction zone for 2 weeks. So what you have to do is, first of all, you have to sand your shelves. Every aspect of the shelf that you are going to paint, you have to sand it because it has a very shiny, like, material on the outside, a very shiny, smooth material. So if you don't sand it, then nothing's going to adhere to that smooth material. You need to rough it up a little bit. And you don't have to do like an intense sand, but you have to do enough that kind of takes away that shine. So next, you need to prime your shelves. So I ended up using the Zinsser Bullseye 123 primer. This stuff is really intense. So this primer really sets a fantastic base down for what you are going to do. You have to prime. It sucks. You're not going to want to. You have to prime it or else it will not work. And then I ended up just using this Sherwin-Williams paint. I ended up getting Wilderness Trail, which is just like this very pretty dark green. And I think I did 2 coats of that. Now, with this comes something that I also feel like I regret. I did not plug up my little holes for the shelf inserts. And that's definitely caused me like a few problems. Nothing so severe that I can't work with, like, at all. Usually if there's just some paint full of it, like, I'll just take a small drill bit and I'll drill some of it out. But if you are someone who really likes to change the height of your shelves constantly, it's going to be a little bit annoying for you because some paint globs kind of do get stuck in there. If you're someone who does not like to change your shelf height a lot, I might recommend just like taking some little wooden dowels and like popping them in the holes that you always keep your shelves in. And that would be a really good way to kind of mitigate that problem. It's really not like an end of the world problem at all. And realistically, I've only changed my shelf heights like once since doing this, and I don't think I'll change them again. So it's not really that big of a deal. And then finally, the worst part of this entire experience, but the absolute most necessary part. You have to finish it with a polyacrylic. So this is the polyacrylic that I use. So this is what seals it, so the paint does not come off on your books, because they sit there for like a year without anyone touching them or moving them. This is what prevents the paint from coming off onto your books. This goes on top of your paint layer. You have to sand your paint layer very lightly. Very lightly. Like, you don't want to take paint off. You just, it's like a very light sand to give a little grit to the texture so it's not so smooth. And then you apply a thin coat of this onto it. And then you need to let it dry. And then you need to resand again. Just the same deal. Not a lot, but you need to sand it so it gives a little bit more grit to your surface. And then you have to apply this again. And this is the biggest pain in the ass in the entire world. This stuff is so runny, it's so messy, it's so hard to work with. I felt like it created like globules so easily. But the problem is, it's a necessity. Like, if you go without this step, you are going to ruin whatever goes on that shelf, which is so annoying. So realistically, to do 2 shelves, just 2, not even 4, took me 2 weeks, and it probably took me like well over 10 hours between sanding and then priming and then priming again and then adding paint and then adding more paint and then sanding and then putting a top coat on and then sanding again and then putting another layer of top coat on. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. Is it worth it? I think so. As a fairly low income person who loves Ikea and who wants to make their Ikea furniture last, I absolutely think that it's worth it. A large portion of my house is filled with Ikea furniture that I have had for anywhere between like 15 to like 5 years. So Ikea furniture, like, it lasts. It's good. It like will last with you, and it lasts through renovations. When you want to change things, like, you don't really have to be that concerned that you're gonna ruin your furniture. So I think it's worth it. If it's going to prolong the life of your Ikea furniture from a sustainability viewpoint, from an economic viewpoint, from just like a convenience viewpoint, I think it's worth it, personally, to put in all of this effort with someone else who has more money than me and who does not have, as we call, the queer audacity, because I think that I could do just about anything. Realistically, like, I absolutely think that I can renovate my shelves. I think that I could build my own furniture. That chair, I reupholstered that chair. That chair was like $10 off Facebook Marketplace. And the owners were very confused when I came to pick it up, and it was two young lesbians. You know, like, I have the queer audacity, and I lack in funds. So I think that these kind of projects are worth it, despite the inconvenience. Was it inconvenient for 2 weeks? Yeah, my kitchen was a construction zone. Am I in love with them now? Am I in love with looking at my shelves and seeing this very like warm, toasty, like kind of dark academia kind of vibes, just make it a little chaotic and disorganized? Yes, I love every second of it. So, want to revamp your Ikea furniture? Ultimately, like, these will probably cost you about $30. And these were more than enough for 2 6-foot Ikea bookshelves. And I still have plenty left over. So if I decide that I want to make over another piece of Ikea furniture, I totally can. So adding the backings to your Billy bookcases, I recommend it. It's a little bit pricey because wood is a little pricey, but you should do it. So if you are someone who's looking to revamp your book space, on a budget using what you already have, I would do it. And that's where we're at for the biggest part of my office makeover. There will be more coming. I have completely reorganized everything. I've made some big changes. I've done a couple projects, but I'm still not done with it all yet. So stay tuned within the next couple weeks. I should have the rest of my renter-friendly office makeover completed. I hope that everyone's having a fantastic day, and I will see everyone next time. Bye.